finished my homework and was
looking at a character. My controller is fucking up, as you can see. Again, so I ordered a new one. So yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, action.
I asked, walking toward where she was sitting, curiosity piquing my interest. Sophie had always been calm and composed, so when something felt off, it was hard to ignore. Yet I couldn't quite place what was different about her today. She smiled when I entered, but something was unsettling in her expression. Something in her eyes that made my heart beat faster. A quiet intensity one hadn't noticed before. "Come sit down," she said, patting the cushion next to her. Her voice was light, but it had an undertone I couldn't shake. I obeyed, unsure of what to expect next, yet unable to stop the gnawing curiosity that had started to take hold of me. Sophie leaned back, crossing her legs, but her gaze never left mine. There was an intensity in her eyes that made me uncomfortable, and I couldn't figure out why. "You've grown up so much, you know," Sophie remarked, her voice soft, but carrying an unusual weight, as if her words meant more than what she was saying. Her eyes lingered on me for a beat too long, and the air between us felt thick with something unspoken. "You're not the little boy I used to know." Those words struck me like a punch. It wasn't like Sophie at all to say something so heavy, so laden with hidden meaning. Up until now, we had always shared a friendly, almost casual relationship, but today it felt different, uncomfortably so. Something about the way she said it made me feel exposed, like I was standing on the edge of something that I wasn't ready to face. I guess I mumbled, my voice unsure, not quite knowing how to respond. The air between us seemed to charge with tension. Sophie leaned in slightly, never breaking eye contact. "No, really," she pressed, her tone more insistent, her voice low and laced with something I couldn't identify. "You've changed, and I think we both know it." That sent a chill through me, and I couldn't help but shiver at the weight of her words. The atmosphere in the room shifted once again, the quiet, almost imperceptible pressure building around us. "Sophie, what are you trying to say?" I forced myself to ask, feeling a knot form in my stomach. I needed to know what was happening, why the air felt so thick with something unspoken between us. Sophie didn't respond immediately. Instead, she stared at me, her gaze steady, as if searching for the right words, as if she wasn't sure how to say what she needed to. Her eyes were searching mine, and I could see the hesitation, the struggle within her. Then, finally, she sighed and stood up, walking over to the window. She stared out into the yard for a moment, her back to me. "Mark's gone for the weekend," she said quietly, the words coming out more like a statement of fact than an explanation. "It's just the two of us here." I nodded, my stomach tightening, unsure where this conversation was leading, but feeling an undeniable tension begin to coil inside me. What was she getting at? She turned to face me, her expression unreadable, and the weight of her gaze settled on me. "You know, I've been thinking," she began, her voice steady but almost tender. "There are things I want to talk to you about, things that I've never dared to say until now." The sound of her words caught in my throat, my heart pounding as I struggled to make sense of what was happening. "Like what?" I asked, my voice quieter than I intended. She took a slow, deliberate step closer to me, her eyes locking with mine in a way that made my pulse quicken. "Like us," she said simply, her voice barely above a whisper. That one word hung in the air, heavy and full of implications I wasn't ready to confront. I felt my heart race, my mind scrambling to catch up. What did she mean by us? I tried to laugh it off, but it came out shaky, betraying the nervousness I felt. "What do you mean us?" I asked, my words coming out more uncertain than I'd intended. Sophie smiled, but it wasn't the same warm, reassuring smile I was used to. This one was small, knowing, as though she was fully aware of something I had been ignoring. "You've noticed it too, haven't you?" she asked, her voice barely more than a murmur. "The way things have changed between us. We're not just stepmother and stepson anymore." My mind was spinning now, trying to make sense of her words, trying to understand what was happening between us. But there was a deep, undeniable truth in what she said. I had felt it too. The way our relationship had shifted, how the small, subtle things, lingering glances, touches that lasted a moment too long, had started to mean something more. I had always tried to push those feelings away, convincing myself they weren't real, that I was imagining things. But now, hearing Sophie say it out loud, I knew there was no denying it any longer. I don't know what you're talking about. I lied, my voice barely a whisper, hoping she wouldn't press further. But Sophie stepped even closer. Her presence overwhelmed me, and I could feel the weight of the moment closing in on me. Yes, you do, she said softly, her fingers brushing lightly against my arm. You felt it too. I stood up abruptly, stepping away from her, trying to regain some semblance of control. Sophie, this is crazy, I said, my voice trembling. You're my stepmom. We shouldn't. But Sophie did back down. She moved closer again, closing the distance between us, her gaze never leaving mine. Why not? She whispered, her voice low and intense, a dangerous edge creeping into her words. We're both adults. We don't have to follow anyone else's rules. The temptation to give it was almost overwhelming, and I felt myself being pulled toward her, despite my better judgment. No, this isn't right, I insisted, though even as I said the words, my resolve began to falter. But what if it is? She countered, her hand gently cupping my cheek, her touch sending a shockwave through me. The contact left me paralyzed, frozen in place as the world around us seemed to disappear. I wanted to stop, to push her away, to leave the room and pretend this moment never happened. But something inside me fought against the impulse. I couldn't move, couldn't break free from the gravitational pull of what was happening, undeniable. As the minutes passed, I realized that whatever had been between us before, the casual, comfortable dynamic of stepmother and stepson, was slipping away, replaced by something darker, more complicated, and far more intense. And I couldn't escape it. Neither of us could. I don't know what you're talking about. I lied, my voice barely whispered. My words felt hollow, like a thin veil that couldn't possibly conceal the truth. Sophie stepped closer, closing the distance between us. Her presence was overwhelming, and I felt the room shrink around me as if the walls were closing in. Yes, you do, she said softly, her fingers grazing my arm in a way that sent a shockwave through me. You felt it too. I stood up abruptly, desperate to regain some control, to distance myself from the growing tension between us. Sophie, this is crazy, I said, my voice trembling, betraying the conflict inside me. You're my stepmom. We shouldn't. But she didn't back away. Instead, she followed me, her footsteps echoing in my mind like the inevitable approach of a storm. Why not? She whispered, her eyes smoldering with an intensity that made my heart race. We're both adults.